The wind of Willow Valley carried secrets, old ranch stories, broken promises, and the ache of families who had lost more than they dared speak out loud. But on the evening, the stagecoach rolled into the dusty yard of the Dawson Ranch. The secret it carried was a girl barely 19, trembling beneath a faded shawl and clutching a letter that told her where she was supposed to spend the next year of her life. Her name was Lily Briar, an orphan raised by a distant aunt who never wanted her, handed from home to home until the county church arranged placements for girls like her, girls they thought needed structure, direction, or someone else to carry the responsibility of them. That letter said she had been assigned to work under Cole Dawson, a widowed cowboy with 3 children and a ranch struggling to stay afloat. Cole had not asked for help. He had not requested a girl to be sent to his home. But the church insisted, and the valley lawyer delivered the papers. They said Lily would cook, clean, tend the animals, and help with the youngsters in exchange for food, shelter, and a modest allowance. But when Lily stepped off that coach, she realized quickly the children staring back at her were not what she expected. The oldest, Emily, 12, serious-eyed, intelligent, studied her like a stranger who had wandered into their grief. The middle child, Noah, 9, kept his arms crossed, as if he had already decided not to trust her. And the youngest, little Rosie, 5, peeked from behind her father's leg with a mix of fear and longing, as though she wanted to believe kindness could return to her world, but wasn't sure it would. Cole Dawson, tall, weathered, and carrying the weight of a man who had buried his wife far too young, extended a stiff handshake and told her plainly, "We don't need trouble here. Just do your work and we'll get along fine." Lily nodded, though her heart hammered with uncertainty. Her first week began before sunrise every morning. She scrubbed floors that hadn't seen soap in months, washed dishes piled so high she wondered how a family could let things get this way, fed chickens who chased her because she had no idea how to scatter grain properly, and cooked meals the children barely touched. The valley whispered that any girl sent to Cole Dawson's ranch rarely lasted. The last 2 had run away. One had cried and begged to be reassigned. The other lasted only 2 days before the Dawson household's silent grief swallowed her spirit. Cole barely spoke. The children barely reacted. The ranch ran like a wounded animal that kept moving only because stopping meant dying. Lily felt the weight of it immediately. But instead of shrinking back, something inside her hardened. She had known hardship. She had suffered abandonment. This place didn't scare her. It felt familiar in a painful way, and so she worked harder. On the 3rd morning, she rose early and repaired the broken hinge on the chicken pen door herself, using wire and stubborn determination. On the 4th day, she found Emily crying behind the barn and didn't pry. She simply sat beside her, offering silent company until the girl whispered, "My mama used to braid my hair before school." The next morning, Lily braided it for her. On the 5th day, Noah challenged her to a race to the creek, expecting her to refuse. But she ran. She ran until her lungs burned, and she beat him by inches. He stared at her, shocked, then grinned for the first time since she arrived. On the 6th day, little Rosie fell while carrying firewood and scraped her knee badly. Cole was out in the west pasture, so Lily scooped the sobbing child into her arms, cleaned the wound despite Rosie's wails, and sang softly, something her own mother used to hum before the illness took her. Rosie's crying slowed, then stopped, and she clung to Lily's dress long after the pain faded. But the moment that shocked the entire valley came on the 7th day, when a storm rolled across the mountains, with winds that tore roofs and flooded the creek. A flash flood threatened the cattle in the lower paddock, and Cole rushed out on his horse, expecting the children and Lily to take shelter in the cellar. But Lily realized the newborn calf, weak, barely alive, was still lying in the open rain, its mother bellowing helplessly. Without hesitation, she dashed into the storm, skirt whipping like a rag, mud soaking her boots, lightning splitting the sky as she fought, her way through wind strong enough to knock her over. She tried lifting the calf, but it was too heavy, so she dragged it inch by inch toward the barn, refusing to let it drown. Neighbors watching from their porches gasped. No girl from the church placement had ever done such a thing. When Cole galloped back with the cattle secured, he found Lily covered in mud, shivering and trembling, but crouched protectively over the fragile calf, whispering encouragement through chattering teeth. Cole dismounted, stunned. The valley talked for years about the moment he knelt beside her, lifted the calf with his strong arms, and carried it inside while Lily staggered after him. That night, he placed a blanket around her shoulders and said the words no one expected from the rigid. "Closed off, Cowboy. I misjudged you." And for the first time since coming to the ranch, Lily felt something bloom inside her, belonging, hope, maybe even the first fragile thread of a family she never thought she'd have. The second week at the Dawson Ranch brought a transformation no one in Willow Valley could have predicted. The girl who arrived trembling and unwanted was now moving through the house, like someone who had always belonged there. But it wasn't just Lily who changed. Something shifted in the Dawson family as well. Emily started helping her cook breakfast, asking questions about how to make dough rise softer, how to season stew properly, how to mend clothes with smaller, cleaner stitches. Noah began waking early just to follow Lily around the barn, pretending he was there because Pa told him to, though everyone knew he simply liked her company. Little Rosie became Lily's shadow, clutching her hand whenever they walked to the garden and whispering secrets about her, dolls and dreams of becoming a teacher someday. Even Cole, who usually worked from sunup to darkness, found himself watching Lily from a distance, not because he distrusted her anymore, but because he was beginning to see something he hadn't seen since his wife died. The glow of warmth returning to his home. But the valley, ever hungry for gossip, noticed. They whispered in the mercantile. They muttered in the church pews. That new girl is working. Miracles. Cole Dawson actually smiled yesterday. Emily laughed for the first time in months. Some wondered if Lily was manipulating the family for her own gain. Others worried she was too young to shoulder the burdens of a broken household. But the Dawson Ranch kept evolving. Despite the chatter, one afternoon during her second week, Cole asked Lily to ride out with him to check the fence line. She had never ridden a horse alone, so he offered to teach her. What began as a simple lesson became something neither of them expected. Lily was nervous at first. Her hands shook, her back stiff, her posture wrong, but Cole stood beside her, guiding her grip, adjusting her balance, speaking gently instead of the short commands he usually barked. When she finally took her first slow lap around the pasture, the children cheered from the fence, and Lily felt something she hadn't felt in years, pride. But the moment that shocked the valley again came the next day, when trouble struck from an unexpected place. A wealthy rancher named Jared McAllister